because you know how to dig.
That's right.
And that's the philosophy you used, Franklin, I know that.
Yeah. When I went to Buffalo, of course this was in the Depression and things were really hard even up there. I was having trouble finding a job, and I went into this one shop, the place that I finally went to work. And he says, well, I haven't got anything for a mechanic right now, but he says, I'll do this. I will put you on as a mechanic if you'll wash cars for a few days. So I started washing automobiles, and in about a week, he put me on line as a mechanic. So that was the way I got this job, was washing automobiles. But you have to do this thing of having the idea that you have to start out at the top is what's the matter with the world today. They don't want to do the menial jobs to start with. They got to have it at the top. And to me, that's the big trouble with our society today. We have wetbacks come over from Mexico to actually do the work, and there's people out of work here, but they won't work because they don't want to do the menial work. So it's kind of, to me, ridiculous.
What you were doing was meeting the situation.
That's right.
And she used to say, it doesn't matter what the situation is, it only matters how you meet it.
She sure did, yeah.
I remember that statement.
Yeah.
What were some of the things at the school, Franklin, that you remember other than the manual training? I know that was a...
Well, the folk dancing. I was very active in that because I loved the folk dancing, and I was on the team, the Morris team, for a number of years until I graduated from school, and I really enjoyed that. We danced at Biltmore Hotel in Atlanta, and I think it was 4 of us, Gista McInnes, myself, and Claude Arnold, and Ruth Conroe danced at that. We were invited. We went to Atlanta to dance at a school, and then we were invited to dance at the Biltmore that night, and we went. There was just 4 of us that were in that. It was really quite a thing for us country people. I enjoyed it.
Franklin, what about your high school years of your academics? What did you seem to like best in, was it history or math,
well,
English?
I liked history and math. We had Bill Edwards for a long time in history, and of course he made history very, very interesting, and I really liked that very much. And
He used to have us make the maps, large maps.
He had maps of everything. Even back in his history came on from Christ's time on, why he made separate maps of how Europe was divided up, which countries had what part of the territory, through the Roman Empire and the time of the build-up of the Roman Empire to the time that it receded. He was really a good teacher, and that particular part of it I thought was one of the best things that came out. The other thing that I liked was Professor Alexander. He taught Latin and some of the things that weren't too, I didn't think too much of, but he was a good teacher, and as a result I got interested in that. And then also in math. I liked math very much. English was my weak point. I really, I despised it, so as a lot of people do when you're in high school. But anyway, it was.
Did you do anything in the plays? Did you ever participate?
Yes, I participated in a few plays. I don't remember the names of them now. I think there was 3 of them that I participated in. I played the part of the dog in one of the things. I remember that. And I don't. That was when I was.
You didn't play any instrument?
No,
Orchestra,
no,
we had
no.
band.
I never got into that. My sister did, but I didn't. I never. Not musically and talented as far as that's concerned. I loved to dance, but that was the end of it.
Franklin, tell us something about your parents, because they were old timers in Fairhope.
Well,
Your mother was very artistic.
yes, she was. She was, but she didn't really get into painting until she was about 50 years old before she started really being serious about her painting, and she did very well with it. She painted a lot of things that are still around down at the Barnwell Baptist Church. There's a painting of the Last Supper that she did that she gave to them. A few things like that around that are people.
But she actually worked with your father in the shop, didn't she?
Yes, she did. She worked with him to. Well, she just was handy. She could carpenter. She could do just about anything she wanted to do, and she was big and strong. So it. Of course, when I was a kid, I was kind of ashamed of that, my mother working like that. But as I got older, why, I got out of that notion.
You appreciated it.
Yes, I appreciate it.
And what was your father's business?
Well, he had a machine shop there, a machine and welding shop, and that's what the main things he did. Of course, he was an automobile mechanic too. But mostly did welding fabrication. Through the war, he fabricated deck houses and one thing and another for the Alabama Dry Dock, and he fabricated in Fairhope, and they were small enough so that they could be hauled to Mobile, and then they were put in place and welded down there. But he did the completion of the deck houses, small deck houses and gun mounts and things of that sort at his shop here in Fairhope. And
I imagine you spent quite a lot of time, didn't you, with him in the shop?
No, I didn't. My dad and I never got along too well. I got most of my training from Ray Klein, a man that owned the Busy Bee at that time. And I worked with him a lot. All through school, I'd work after school and on Saturdays, and with him, and he taught me a lot. Of course, my dad did too, but we just couldn't seem to work together. Dad and I couldn't, and as a result, I worked for other people. I worked for Howard Ruby for a while when he had the shop on Section Street, and but that was
Franklin, that isn't a new story. I remember in talking to Jim Gaston Sr. one day, and I said, isn't that a beautiful thing to see that go up there, Gaston and Son?
mm-hmm.
And he said there are a lot of tears along with that.
That's right.
That sign.
Absolutely, because Jimmy didn't want to do that at all.
No.
No, he wanted to go on with his engineering, as he'd gone to school to train to be an engineer, and that's what he was in the Army during the war. He was an engineer.
But even if you didn't